Hey guys, we just got back from Logan, the highly anticipated and very highly rated latest comic book film starring the Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, and the one and only Hugh Jackman. And I can say, at least in my personal opinion, definitely go see this. This was, I mean, almost everything that I thought it was going to be. It lived up to it. It was great, well filmed. The interaction, obviously this is an alternate universe, I would say, story. Or maybe even the actual universe, what happens. But, I mean, this thing is an alternate universe because I would have liked to have seen the X-Men story end in a different way. Oh, yeah. So that's why I'm calling this alternate story. But for sort of this different universe and this different take on the character, a more realistic, grounded, you know, the mutants are pretty much gone from the world, very few are left, and the ones that are sort of hunted, and I thought about as best as it could be for that. Ultra violent, like we never have seen. We've said this before, like oh my God, Wolverine, really? That's the way it should be done. But no, this film here is the way Wolverine should be done.
What happens when you give him sharp objects?
Yeah, and squishy soldiers to play with. And not only was the Wolverine character brutal, but I was so happy to see the X-23 character, the little girl in the trailer. She is extremely brutal, sometimes more brutal than Wolverine in her own unique way. This is not a children's film. You've probably heard that before.
Rated R.
Do not bring your kids to this film if you don't want them to see blood and guts and sort of a dark, grim tale that doesn't necessarily have this bright colors and you know fancy X-Men at the end.
Dark.
Right, very dark.
Movie.
So let's talk a little bit about the characters, Joe. How do you think that Hugh Jackman did in potentially his last outing as Wolverine?
I really liked his acting in this one. He was fucking amazing. You pulled it off, and I don't know, just like I felt his pain.
Yeah.
I was like, he's done. I was like, you know what?
Just so old
like,
and busted.
man,
his healing is not
drinking,
working
he's
properly.
Like, fuck this shit, I'm done.
His life ends up, and it's kind of appropriate that Wolverine sort of, you know, ends up being the survivor or one of the few X-Men that are left because the dude can regen from almost anything. But in this film, you see, and you've seen in the trailers, how his regenerative abilities are not working properly. And this brings real tension in the film because you're like, oh shit, you know, he is vulnerable. And same with Patrick Stewart, man. They really made Patrick Stewart look so old and so feeble and so frail and so fragile. I was like, oh my God, it's bringing me to tears. If we, you know, I don't want to think about it, but you know, they did a great job with Professor Xavier, and you feel for him. This is a really human story in a superheroes thing. You know, this is very grounded, and in my opinion, it was done justice in this universe. Oh, yeah. What do you think?
I can't say much without spoiling it.
Okay, so we're gonna do a spoiler section for this one, definitely, and we'll go. We'll do an at-length one, so we're not gonna spoil.
I will say cinematography was amazing.
Yes, greatly filmed action, tons of action scenes. The Patrick Stewart and the Hugh Jackman dynamic.
I liked it. They really
a little comedy, it's like, and it was so fun to see them cuss. Patrick Stewart's like, fuck you, you know, Wolverine.
Like,
what is it?
Fuck
you, Logan.
He's acting like a child. He's like, did you take your meds? Yeah, I took my meds.
Yeah, it's sort of like a loving son relationship, and kind of a, you know, a dad that's like, shut up. But you know they love each other, and you know they really care about each other, and it just gives the film so much emotional weight. Patrick Stewart, when he's in the film, is when I think the film's at its best. And it was just fantastic. The acting on the little girl
was really good for the girl.
Yeah, she knew how to do it. You know, she's flying across the screen doing
she
all
did a really
sorts of
good job
action.
at being like feral. Would be the best way to put it.
It was great. So you know, obviously, Logan is this character that's always been a loner, and here he is confronted with this sort of mini family dynamic. You've got, you know, his older father figure, and now he's got supposedly a mutant that's just like him, and potentially a daughter figure for him to take care of. So, like I said, we don't want to spoil too much, so we'll try to keep it in broad terms. Man, the action was so good, very grounded and real. We don't, see a lot of, super big special effects. This is not X-Men Final Stand or, where they're throwing cars into the air. Right. It's nothing like that. And I think in this instance, it does the film justice because they were going for a different tone. I feel almost westerns in here. There's several references to older westerns. I'm not familiar with this particular western. In fact, I want to watch it now. But they take clips from it, and the girl learns from the film, and it just has this sort of Clint Eastwood almost feel to it, where it's like, is this really the last ride of Wolverine kind of thing?
I'm curious about where they're going with it.
Yep, definitely. It was a very long movie, 2 hours and 27 minutes.
That's what I was gonna say. It did feel like it was dragging in some places.
Okay, there's a segment in the film where we meet a barn family. Is that maybe where you think
there was that, and then there's just a lot of dialogue in the cars that didn't really matter much, but. It was a little long, and I think that they could have done the film justice a little bit shorter.
It's possible. Yep. That's a critique. A lot of critics are saying maybe it's a little too long. Me personally, I enjoyed it. I thought the pacing was perfect, the length was perfect, for especially if this is going to be the last outing of Patrick Stewart and the last outing of Hugh Jackman, who they've said that this is probably the last time they're playing those characters.
They're gonna do time travel.
I want to see plenty of that shit. Yeah. So. The supporting cast, I thought that, hey, one of my favorite characters, I was like, is that who I think it is? It's Daryl from Soul Glow from Coming to America is in the film. This guy with the Jerry curl in Coming to America, one of my favorite films of time. The boyfriend character is in the film as this farming family, and it just sort of brings more humanity and gives a great touching moment for this little surrogate family that Logan has found, meeting another family and sort of. This is what life could have been like if we were normal and stuff like that. So I liked it. I thought it was great. I think maybe the only character that I was disappointed by, there's two, okay? And this is where we'll get into some weaknesses in the film now. The supporting character, Caliban. You see in the film that there's this character that's completely covered, and it's because this particular helper mutant can't go into the sun, and so he sort of serves as
he's a plot device,
a friend, I guess, to Logan and Patrick, but you never really understand why. You never really feel it. I wonder why they decided to go with Caliban, whether that is a current comic storyline during the death of Wolverine, because actually right now Wolverine is dead in the Marvel Universe. I actually never thought they'd ever do the X-23 storylines in film. And they did it.
They took a lot of
And it is amazingly well done. So props to that. But this particular, side character, he felt obscure and kind of unnecessary.
They used him as a plot device. Like, they used it to further the plot, and that was the only reason he existed.
Yeah,
he didn't really have a personality or anything like that.
You don't feel attached to him. So when things happen, you're like, okay, yeah, cool. Moving on. So you got... and then I think, finally, the villains of the film.
They were weak.
We have some weak villains here. These are your standard, everyday dime a dozen mercenaries or military guys. Now, those are great villains to just shoot up here. But there is a surprise at the end. They do have a boss character. And that was really good. I loved seeing that. I thought it was fantastic. But that particular twist at the end, that boss character, doesn't have any character development on its own. So what you're left with is this blonde guy who you see in the trailers really doesn't factor in very much at all. He's kind of like, again...
He's just a jackass.
He's just a side character.
Just a jackass, yeah. So the main cast of Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, and the little girl fantastic. The supporting cast, and even the farmer family was good. But the rest of the cast there really, you're like, I was hoping for a little bit more there, a little bit more depth. But man, like I said, I want you to see this film because this really proves that superhero films are wide-ranging. You can do them and you can really make interesting, complete, fantastic, deep stories. This was a mature story that audiences can enjoy, except for little kids. Don't bring little kids here. But when I was a little kid, I was watching shit like this, and I thought it was badass.
I'm gonna take my son to this badass movie.
I'm gonna take my son to this badass. Now, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, no, keep them kids out. But 12, whatever. That don't matter to me. It's not that bad. No. You don't really see any guts, like pure guts or anything like that.
It's not John Wick level of guts.
Yeah, John Wick wasn't even that bad either.
John Wick was pretty bad.
You think so? I guess I saw that fucking trailer for Raw, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to see. That's a messed up.
Don't take your kids to that movie.
I'm tired of seeing that.
I don't want to see it.
Anyways, so let's go ahead and kind of give our final verdicts and maybe say what our ratings are, and then maybe what it missed and what it did well. So I guess
with OJ.
Okay, we'll start with OJ.
Yes,
pressure's on OJ.
No pressure.
No pressure.
I'm gonna give this a 9.
Yeah,
I really like this movie, but it kind of fell at the end, and I'll explain later in the spoilers.
Okay, but you can't say why. Okay,
I can't.
For that one point, but it was really good enough to get that 9 rating from OJ. Okay, go ahead, Del. I feel like you maybe didn't feel it was as strong as we did.
Well, I don't think I did.
You and Beard also. We saw this with Anger Beard.
You can't see him.
And he wasn't on board.
Him and I, we gave it a 7.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of reasons we talked
good.
about. So you could say that the resolution we weren't happy with, without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
The bad guys were weak. The side characters, like you said, not so great. And honestly, the story they chose in this movie compared to the way it went in the comics were way more bad.
Yeah.
That 7 guys, 7's not a bad rating.
No,
we always forget. People just forget nowadays that 7 is good.
We don't get any appearances from any previous X-Men. I really, really wanted them to do one particular scene, and I've complained about it, and I was really looking forward to it. If you look at our trailer analysis, I was like, man, I hope to see him in this. And yeah, so I will talk about that in the spoilers. That was important to me. I don't know why it's so important to me. But yeah, in this alternate universe, though, I thought it was appropriate. It ended well for me. The final boss battle was badass. It did feel grounded. It made sense. There wasn't anything in the film that I felt was wrong. It's just I wished for more from our villains. I wished for more from the resolution to the story. So I understand greatly, but I think it deserves to be seen. I think that this does for Wolverine what Deadpool did for comedy action. This does for, what would you call this? Realistic, gritty, dark, mature, grim-dark, mature storyline with ultra-violent action. It does it just about as good enough for me. So my final verdict is going to be a 9 out of 10. And for those reasons we talked about there is why it misses that 10 out of 10. So definitely go out and see this thing in theater. Even Del and Beard,
go see it once.
Go out and see it in theaters. It's fantastic. We are getting really good content lately in theaters and in games. John Wick 2, Lego Batman, Horizon. We got the Zelda is really fucking good. This film. So it's great time to be alive. So save up your money. Go out and see this film. And we will see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Stick around for spoilers.